Hi, in this video I want to talk to you a little bit about multiple representations for some exponential functions in this chapter Appendix B that we just started. So we're going to look at this problem here and then you're going to have a chance to try some of this on your own. So let me read the problem for us. It says Brianna is working on her homework. Her assignment is to come up with 4 representations for an exponential function of her choosing. She decides it's easiest to start with writing an equation. So she chooses this equation here. I'm going to write it. Y equals 1200 times 1/2 all to the power of x. Help Brianna create the other 3 components of this web. So this one here that we have, she's chosen equation. We're going to put that in blue. If you look over here at our math web, equation is over here. So that means we have to come up with 3 other things. A table, a graph, and then we get to be a little creative and come up with some kind of a situation. I'd like to start with a table. So I'm going to put everything that's table related in red for us. So let's do an XY table starting from 0, and we'll just try and work our way down to the number 4. So to figure out, if we know our x values, we want to use 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, we have to figure out our y values. And those are essentially from our equation. Now that we have an equation, we can do that. And what we do is every time we see an x, we replace it with the value of x we've chosen. So we have 1200 in the first one times 1/2 to the power of 0. Anything to the power of 0 becomes 1. That's just the rule. And we times 1 by 1200. Well, it looks like we're going to get 1200 back. So the first y value we have is 1200. Let's move to the next one. Take 1200 times 1/2 to the power of 1. Anything to the power of 1 gives back itself. So this just becomes 1200 times 1/2. That's like dividing 1200 by 2, so that one's 600. Let's keep going down to the next one. 1200 times 1/2 to the power of 2. Well, if you take a half times a half, it's like 2 times 2, so you get 1200 times 1 over 4, because 2 times 2 is 4. So it's like saying 1200 divided by 4. I put that in my calculator. I get 300. Starting to see a pattern here. Let's keep going. 1200 times 1/2 to the power of 3. So 2 times 2 times that's 8. So this becomes 1200 times 1 over 8. And 1200 divided by 8. What's that going to give me? I think it's 150. And if I start to see the pattern, it looks like, oh, every time I do this, 1200 to 600 to 300 to 150, I'm going to cut in half. So I'm going to take a guess and say the next one is 75. But we can check that when we get to graph. So we've now completed, in red here, our table. We can check that. Let's go look at our graph. And to do that, I'm going to actually go out to a Desmos page, because I don't want to do all the heavy lifting on this. So I'm going to go here, and there's 2 ways I can do it. I can start from my table and say at 0, I can just enter in the values that I just came up with. 1, 2, 3, 4. I knew this one was 600, 300, 150, and 75. And I could also just put my equation in that we already got. I mean, they gave it to us, so let's not be afraid to use it. Just got to make sure I get my exponent in there. Oh, look. The nice thing is my table and where my dots were and my graph line up nicely. So I'm just going to move this over. There's my graph. That looks nice. Notice a couple key points up here. It crosses the y-intercept at 1200, but if I look closely, I'll see it actually never crosses the x-axis. I have a starting point, and then I have a couple other points to help me shape my graph. So just going back, we can kind of say that we did our graph, and we can just draw a little sketch of it, saying up here is 1200, and I did this. Ooh, that's a bad thing. So now let's talk about our situation. Our situation could be anything that makes sense in this case. So I don't know, I want to think outside the box. You can think out something creative for yours, and you probably have some better ideas than me, but I'm trying to think of what's a situation that might start with a value of 1200, and then every time it changes, like every day or every minute or every week, it gets cut in half. So, I'm thinking about money. I like to think about how much money I have. That's always a fun one. So maybe my situation is I have $1,200 today, but each day I spend half of it. Like spend half of all the money I've left. And that's just a situation. Ooh, I need a little bit more space. I'm going to move this over. Money I have left. You don't have to like ask a problem with it. You just have to say a situation that makes sense. So in this case, maybe I can zoom this in just a little. My situation is my starting value of 1200, and then this idea of my multiplier being 1/2. So now I've attacked a situation, even though I used the wrong color. I guess I feel like that rainbow color is just too exciting for writing a situation. But there you go. That gives you the 4 different ways we represent it. You try now on the next page, and I want to see some creative situations.